Please stay tuned after this video for a preview from our latest video from our new channel, Paranormally Listed. The video is about killers who are haunted by the spirits of their victims. Today's video is sponsored by the maker of the best wallets in the world, the Ridge. Usually, I'm terrible at picking out gifts for my family, but this year I got all my family members Ridge wallets for Christmas, and they loved them. Each of them got a different design of wallet, and they were all impressed at how cool they looked. Ridge wallets come in 3 different materials, and they have dozens of different designs. It's incredibly fun to go through their website and pick out the wallets you want. The hardest part is narrowing it down to which wallet or wallets you're actually going to get. Or you can do what I did and start a collection of wallets. Ridge wallets are durable and practical. They hold 12 cards plus your cash, so you won't be able to carry any more junk in your wallet like people tend to do with bulky leather wallets. The Ridge also has awesome phone cases, backpacks, bottle openers, and so much more. Right now, the Ridge is offering Criminally Listed viewers 10% off with free worldwide shipping and returns. Just go to ridge.com/listed, that's ridge.com/listed, and use the promo code listed at the checkout. Buy yourself or give someone the best wallet they'll ever own by checking out ridge.com/listed. Number 3. Scott Turnlund. Shelby County is in central Alabama, and it is home to about 250,000 people. In early 2001, the Turnlund family lived there. Nathan Turnlund was 17 years old, and he was the eldest of the Turnlund children. He was a solid student with a 3.02 GPA. He was a star athlete on his high school's basketball team. He was also a popular kid who made friends easily. After high school, Nathan planned on attending the University of Idaho on a partial basketball scholarship. Nathan's 15-year-old brother, Scott, was considered the opposite of his brother. Scott had a hard time in school, he had mental health problems, and he experimented with hard drugs. But he was still known to be friendly, helpful, and outgoing. To many people who knew them, the two brothers had clearly defined roles. Nathan was the golden boy, and Scott was the black sheep. On the night of February 10, 2001, 17-year-old Nathan and 15-year-old Scott were at home, and their parents were out. Apparently, they got into a fight over the remote control, and things escalated quickly. In the foyer of their home, Scott shot Nathan in the abdomen. He then stabbed his older brother 26 times. Once he killed his brother, he used a front-end loader on a tractor and moved his body to a pit that they used for burning garbage that was about 150 yards from the house. He then put some dirt on him. Not long afterward, their parents returned home and found the house splattered with blood. Scott got into his family's Chevrolet Suburban and took off. The police pursued him. After about an hour, they shot out the tires. Then 15-year-old Scott Turnlund was arrested. His brother's body was recovered from the pit. In December 2001, Scott Turnlund pleaded guilty to murder. Even though he was just 15 at the time of the murder, he was sentenced as an adult. He was given 25 years in prison. After the murder, Scott's parents disowned him. They sold their house and moved to a different state. In 2006, 5 years after Scott pleaded guilty, he tried to have his conviction excused. He claimed he only committed the murder because he was using Neurontin, an anti-epileptic drug produced by Pfizer. He said he was wrongly prescribed the drug to treat his bipolar disorder. The side effects of the drug include depression, thought disorders, and anger. He said that these side effects led to Nathan's murder. The judge ultimately denied the request to have the plea excused. In April 2015, 29-year-old Scott Turnlund was serving his sentence at the Staten Correctional Facility in Elmore, Alabama. He had served about 14 years of his sentence. On April 15, 2015, he was stabbed to death by a fellow inmate, 29-year-old Edward Doe. Doe was serving a 25-year sentence for robbery. After Scott was murdered, his parents refused to claim his body, so he was going to be buried in a pauper's grave on the prison grounds. Shelby County Chief Probation Officer John Miller got to know Scott when he was in the juvenile system before he was transferred to an adult facility. Miller claimed the body and arranged to be buried in a public cemetery. Another person donated a grave marker. In November 2018, Edward Doe was sentenced to an additional 25 years for murdering Scott Turnlund. He is currently serving his sentence at the William E. Donaldson Correctional Facility in Bessemer, Alabama. Number 2. Patricia Kirk. In the early 1960s, the Kirk family lived in a mobile home in Walton, New York. Walton is a village in the Catskills Mountains. At the time, it had a population of about 3,800 people. In the summer of 1961, Wesley and Sadie Kirk had 3 children, 5.5-year-old Patricia, Wesley Jr., who was 3.5 years old, and Lois, who was nearly 2 years old. On the morning of July 18, 1961, Sadie woke up and noticed that their youngest child, Lois, was missing. She asked Patricia where Lois was, and she said she was in the bushes. Wesley Sr., Sadie, and some neighbors began searching for Lois. In a shed, one of the neighbors came across what looked like a pile of blankets. She removed the blankets, and under them she found a suitcase covering a 20-gallon earthenware crock. She found Lois in the crock. She was alive and unharmed. She had been in there for about 2 hours. Patricia had either helped or placed her in the crock. Weeks later, on August 1, 1961, Lois turned 2. 5 days later, on August 6th, Sadie got up and saw Wesley Jr. and Patricia playing. She went to check the bed where the 3 children slept. Lois was still in bed. Sadie tried to rouse her, but she wouldn't wake up, so Lois was rushed to the hospital. Tragically, the 2-year-old was pronounced dead hours later at 6:15 p.m. Initially, the police thought she may have overdosed on sleeping pills, but a toxicology report showed that she had not ingested anything that could have killed her. The autopsy revealed she had died from several blows to the head. Sadie and Wesley Sr. told the police about the earlier incident involving the crock. They also said that Patricia tended to be jealous of her sister and she got annoyed by Lois's crying. Sadie and Wesley asked Patricia, who was 5.5 years old, if she had done anything to Lois, but she refused to talk to her parents. So Patricia's step-grandmother was brought in to talk to her. Patricia told her that Lois wouldn't go to sleep, so she spanked her, and then she stopped crying. 5-year-old Patricia then said she hit 2-year-old Lois with a toilet seat lid, which she called a pretty stick. Lois's death was ruled a homicide. However, at the time, New York state law said that no one under the age of 7 could commit a crime. It was determined that Patricia should be sent to a state facility. The district attorney said that Patricia had a wild imagination and she was very mixed up emotionally. He said that at the state facility she would get proper care. Her parents were charged with neglect. However, the results of those charges are unknown. It is also unknown what happened to Patricia Kirk. If she is still alive today, she would be about 65 years old. Number 1. Paris Bennett. In February 2007, Charity Lee and her 2 children, 13-year-old Paris Bennett and 4-year-old Ella Bennett, lived in Abilene, Texas. When Charity was 17 years old, she was a heroin addict, but she managed to get clean. After about a year of sobriety, she was miserable and she thought about overdosing to end her life. But then she found out she was pregnant with Paris, and she said it saved her life. Paris was a smart young man. He was tested, and his IQ was 141. Ella was a loving and adorably bossy little girl. She had a huge personality and a small body. Whenever one of her friends got into a fight with their parents, she wanted to adopt them. Unfortunately, Paris also had a history of mental health problems and odd behavior. For example, he would bang his head against the wall until it bled. In the fall of 2006, Paris tried to stab Charity. She ended up putting him in a psychiatric hospital. The doctor told Charity that Paris had homicidal tendencies. But Charity decided not to keep Paris in treatment, so in November 2006, she pulled him out of the hospital and brought him home. She said she does not regret the choice because she does not feel Paris would have gotten the help he needed. In February 2007, Charity was working as a server at a Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant. On February 4, 2007, the Indianapolis Colts were playing the Chicago Bears in Super Bowl 41. Charity had to work that evening, so she left Paris and Ella at home with a babysitter. Around midnight, the police came to the restaurant and Charity was called to the manager's office. She was told that her 4-year-old daughter Ella was dead and that her son Paris was in custody. While Paris was in custody, he was honest about what happened that night. One thing that the police noted was that Paris would cry, but he didn't shed any tears. Paris told the police that he, Ella, and the babysitter watched a movie after dinner. When the movie was over, Ella was put to bed. Paris told the babysitter that he was going to do some homework in his bedroom. He convinced the babysitter to go home, so she left. Shortly after she left, 13-year-old Paris went into the kitchen and picked up a knife. He went into Ella's bedroom. First, he sexually assaulted her. Then he stabbed his 4-year-old sister 17 times. After killing his sister, Paris called a school friend and they talked for about 6 minutes. At 11:43 p.m., Paris called 911 and he sounded emotional. Paris told the dispatcher he had accidentally killed someone. The dispatcher didn't hear him correctly and asked him if he said he thought he had killed someone. Very firmly, Paris said he knew he had killed someone. He told the dispatcher that he had killed his sister. The dispatcher told him to give her CPR and advised him on how to do it. At first, Paris hesitated, but then he started counting to 30. The lead detective does not believe that Paris gave her CPR. Ella had been killed on the bed, but when the police came, she was on the floor. There was not much blood on the floor. Had he given her CPR, there would have been a lot more blood on the floor. Paris was asked why he killed his sister. He had always seemed like a loving older brother. He said that he was angry at his mother. She had relapsed into drug addiction after 12 years of sobriety. About a year earlier, Charity had started using cocaine. Paris said that he wanted to kill his mother as well. But after killing Ella, he realized that committing a murder was more challenging than he thought. He also wanted his mother to suffer. Paris thought that if he killed her, her suffering would only last about 15 minutes or so. But living in the wake of her child's death would mean a lifetime of suffering. After Paris was arrested, Charity found notes that he had written that indicated he was obsessed with shootings, murder, and suicide. Paris Bennett pleaded guilty to capital murder 6 months after he killed his sister. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison. He served his first 5 years at Texas Juvenile Justice's Giddings State School. When he was 19, he was transferred to the Ferguson unit in Midway, Texas. At the time of this video, Paris Bennett is 28 years old. He'll probably be able to apply for parole in February 2027 when he's 33 years old. In 2012, Charity gave birth to another son, Phoenix. She allows Phoenix to talk to his half-brother, Paris, on the phone. Charity also visits Paris in prison. The psychiatrist talked to Charity and told her that Paris was a psychopath. He also had some advice for Charity. He told her to change her name and move out of state before Paris was released. Charity has admitted that she's afraid that Paris might hurt her or Phoenix if he's paroled in 2027. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Now here's a clip from our video, 3 Killers Haunted by Their Victims, from our new channel, Paranormally Listed. The last time April's parents saw her, she was riding her bike. About 20 minutes later, April's mother, Coral, went out to bring her home. But she couldn't find April. Coral immediately called 999, which is the emergency line in Great Britain. Officers were in the area in minutes. One girl said that she saw April talking to a man and then she got into his gray van. One notable thing that the girl said was that April got into the right side of the car. This is unusual because in most vehicles in the United Kingdom, the driver's side is on the right-hand side. She also described the man by saying he had brown hair, a beard, and blue or green eyes. He was wearing a green jacket or a jumper, jeans, and running shoes. Massive searches were conducted for April. You can watch the rest of the video by clicking on the link on the screen now. You can also find a link to the channel in the description box below this video. Well, that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.